This week on Beacon Web News, I provide a brief overview of MCLA's new public safety campus police policy established by President Birge. Kehr sits down with President Birge to discuss the new regulations that the school has in place for COVID-19.
I think our students understand the risks of not complying with safety protocols. Now, we have students that are not complying with that. There's no question that happens.
That is all coming up next on Beacon Web News. Hello and welcome to the September 30th episode of Beacon Web News. I'm Mei Craig. Health Services will be hosting a flu shot clinic on October 1st in the Quad. The clinic will be from 11:30 to 2 p.m. The clinic will also take place on October 7th from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Bring your insurance card and co-pays will apply. The Michael S. and Kitty Dukakis Public Policy Lecture with Jeff Flake will be on Thursday, October 1st at 5 p.m. The event will be held virtually and is free and open to the public. For more information, call 413-662-5224 or visit mcla.edu/speakers. President James Birge sent an email to the campus community on September 28th announcing the recommendations made by a public safety committee that was formed in June. The committee, formed of Chief Diversity Officer Dr. Christopher McDonald Dennis, had 12 other members from the MCLA community, which include 3 students, 3 alumni, 3 staff, and 3 faculty members. The new committee's purpose is to create a more community-based safety program where students and employees can feel safe. If formed as a permanent committee, which the group suggested be called the Public Safety Oversight Committee, it will be in charge of examining, addressing, and providing routine updates to the MCLA community on campus issues. The committee made 3 major recommendations. First, recruit racially and gender diverse campus officers. Second, train campus police on issues involving racial equity, sexual orientation, gender identity, unconscious bias, and sexual assault. And third, ensure that public safety is providing incident information. The report noted that a 2019 review of public safety conduct found that public safety officers carrying firearms cause fear and discomfort for students and recommended that officers be given non-lethal weapons. The public safety officers were first given firearms after a 2012 Board of Trustees vote. The approval was highly contentious because the vast majority of faculty and students at the time did not agree that public safety officers should carry firearms. The committee also recommended students and faculty should be involved in search committees for new officers. Over the summer, 4 subcommittees were formed to help create the report, each focusing on different aspects of campus policing. The subcommittees looked at community policy models, data on campus policing, student experiences, and campus police policies and procedures. Birge thanked the committee members and McDonald Dennis on their work on the committee. Election Day is just around the corner, and if you haven't registered to vote yet, then make sure to stop by the Student Engagement Office on October 8th from 12 a.m. to 10 p.m. where they'll show you all the information you need to register to vote. October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. The Women's Center is virtually planning on educating the campus community on what domestic violence is on October 6th from 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. On October 1st, the Environmental Studies program will be virtually hosting their first Sustainability Committee meeting of the semester from 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. The meeting will be covering the food waste collection piloting program in the townhouses. Kehr interviewed President Birge on how MCLA has been dealing with COVID-19 issues and how the semester has been going.
With the first month of the semester almost over, President Birge shared his opinion on how the school is handling COVID-19 and also answered some questions about new protocols on campus.
Right now we've had in the last 7 days 1 positive case. Our positive rate is 0.19. It's below the city's rate, the county rate, and the Commonwealth's rate. It's a little bit higher than if it were just 1 because we have to record false positives as well. And so we've had, I think, a total of 3 positive tests, but only 1 that was really the virus. I think our students understand the risks of not complying with safety protocols. Now, we have students that are not complying with that, and there's no question that happens. But I think to the scale that it's happened at other institutions, we're not seeing that, because I think that our students are more conscientious. They understand that they want to be here, and that when people, they or others, their peers, or even my colleagues don't comply with those protocols, it puts their plans at risk.
With the spring semester on the rise, President Birge shared what he thinks it's going to look like.
Well, I think the spring semester is going to look a lot like the fall semester. I think we'll continue to have blended classes. Right now, we're trying to think about what's going to happen with spring break. What does that look like? And we haven't resolved that right now. There are a number of people who are talking about it, and we want to hear multiple voices about what should happen. But in terms of the classes, I think it's going to be very similar to what the fall looks like.
So far, there have not been any positive commuter, staff, or faculty cases. Birge shares why commuter students, along with faculty and staff, are only being tested monthly.
Well, there are a couple of reasons. One is that it's hard for us to control the experiences that faculty and commuters have off campus. We can control more for what happens on campus and keeping our fingers on the pulse of that a little bit more. So that was part of it, is what's available for those students. Faculty and staff, as well as commuter students who are in this region, have access to more resources than students who come to MCLA from a distance do, and so we wanted them to be accessing some of the community resources. Ultimately, we originally were not going to provide that, but ultimately we changed that based on conversations we'd had with faculty and staff and some of the commuters. But there's also an expense issue for us. Testing isn't something we had budgeted for. It's going to end up costing us a couple of $100,000. We've received a little bit of money from the state, about $100,000 from the state, but that doesn't cover all of the expenses related to COVID.
A new requirement for seniors this year is a $700 meal plan. This plan includes 65 meal swipes, $100 in declining balance, and 25 Blazer bucks.
There are a couple of reasons for that. One is that on the chance that we might have to quarantine students or isolate them, they still need to be fed, and we have an obligation to feed them. If they're not on a plan, how do we feed them? And so we required everybody to live, who lives on campus, to have a plan. It's a much reduced plan. It's more expensive than if they didn't have one, but it's very reduced. The other reason is, I think, that the more we can keep students out of grocery stores and shopping like that. I worried a little bit about more students going in and doing shopping, and might expose them to some of the virus in ways that they hadn't anticipated. And it's also the case, because we have only singles this year, we have fewer students in residence. That means less revenue for our MCLA dining, and they need to survive as well, and so they needed revenue.
For Beacon Web News, I'm Kehr.
Need help looking for internships? Then stop by the internship workshop on Tuesday, October 6th at 2 p.m. in the Bowman Hall Lower Level Cafe. This event is hosted by the Center for Student Success and Engagement and will cover a range of important items, including internship requirements, how to apply, and more. The North Adams Public Library will be hosting the Dot Story Walk. The walk will talk you through the entire story, The Dot by Peter Reynolds. Children who participate in the walk will receive a bag of books and a chance to sign up for a library card. The event will be on October 1st from 3:30 to 5:30 p.m. To register, go to bit.ly/naplstorywalk.com. The MCLA Food Pantry is open and virtual. The pantry is available to the entire campus community with no questions asked. Guests can place an order online, orders will be bagged, and a time will be scheduled to pick up the order. Guests can submit orders as frequently as possible. Visit facebook.com/MCLA Food Pantry for more information. And now from the Beacon. Following the deadline for Student Government Association position signups on September 24th, the race is on for 21 students for positions in SGA for the 2020/2021 academic year. SGA discussed at their last meeting recognizing the conservative organization Turning Point USA on the MCLA campus in the same way that they recognize student advocacy group Massberg. The MCLA Lavender Fund hosted a discussion with author Darnell Moore, moderated by Erica Wall, the director of Berkshire Cultural Resource Center on September 23rd via Zoom. You can check out these and other stories from the Beacon at theonlinebeacon.com or pick up a copy all over campus. October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and if you want to learn more about the campaign to increase awareness about the disease, then make sure to virtually join the Women's Center on October 1st from 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. That is it for this week. To stay up to date with BWN, you can follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/MCLA BWN. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.